Wa alaikum salam. Oh, from this side, yes. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اسمي جهيد من الجزائر من جامعة السنة ولست بأحمدية سؤالي كالتالي نحن ننتظر نزول عيسى ابن مريم عليه السلام أريد حضرتكم ماذا تقولون في هذا وشكرا
Mustafa sir, come here. Now you have to translate what I say. First, the question, please.
The questioner says that he is an Algerian from Algeria, and he is a student in one of the universities. And
a student of what? You didn't mention that.
Excuse me
أنت طالب في الجامعة؟
لا أنا من الجزائر جيت من الجزائر
هو من الجزائر وعنده سؤال.
What is he studying? What is he studying?
No, he said he is from Algeria and he has a question.
Okay.
He says that they are waiting the arrival of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
What would Huzur say about that?
Okay. They are waiting for Jesus Christ, while things which were to precede Jesus Christ has not yet materialized. So how can they wait for Jesus Christ when those things which were to precede his arrival or advent or descent from heaven have not yet appeared? If you remember your knowledge of hadith on this subject, I shouldn't say remember your knowledge, but if you remember your hadith well on this subject, then you should realize that before Jesus Christ's advent or descent from heaven as you believe, there should appear a Dajjal. Right or wrong?
أنت تقول أنهم ينتظرون عيسى ابن مريم بينما هناك أمور تسبقه ولم تحدث هذه الأمور بعد فكيف يأتي عيسى ابن مريم وهذه الأمور التي المفروض أنها تسبقه لم تحدث فهناك حديث يشير إلى أن قبل أن يأتي عيسى ابن مريم هناك المسيح الدجال فأين هو المسيح الدجال؟
No, but I didn't say that as yet. I said, do you know that Masih Dajjal has to precede the advent of Messiah or not?
هل تعلم أو هل سمعت أن المسيح الدجال يجب أن يسبق في وجود المسيح؟
نعم.
Yes, okay. And am I right in describing that Dajjal for you when I say that he is to be a huge giant, the like of which has never been witnessed by man before? He is not read about even in fiction. A giant of such big size as his head is above the cloud line, and he is a giant so powerful that he can single-handed conquer the entire world, and no power on earth can obstruct his passage. And he is blind in one eye and outstandingly sharp in the vision of the other eye, because his right eye will be blind, his left eye would be big and protruding, and the vision of that eye would be so sharp that it would be able to see underneath the earth, and it would see and detect the minerals under the earth, the oil or whatever it is, all the wealth, all the treasures which the earth hides, that one-eyed monster will be able to see it. Am I right or wrong? Is that what you have heard as well?
وهل أنا على صواب أن الدجال بالنسبة لك أو بالنسبة للناس يعني هو شخص مارد كبير الحجم بدرجة أن رأسه سوف تكون فوق السحاب، وهو قوي بشكل فظيع لدرجة أنه لوحده يستطيع أن يقهر العالم كله، وعينه اليمنى عمياء، هو أعور العين اليمنى، بينما العين اليسرى حادة البصر لدرجة أنه يستطيع أن يرى الأشياء حتى تلك الأشياء التي في باطن الأرض. فهل أنا مصيب على صواب في هذا الشرح؟
Okay. So that one-eyed monster is not yet born, right? Only small question, and I'll turn to another one now.
وطبعا هذا المارد الأعور لم يولد بعد، أليس كذلك؟
But even if he had been born, the prophecy could not be fully realized without the birth of a donkey which should precede that Dajjal. So before Dajjal, an animal who is referred to as a donkey is to be born. And he matches his master in size and qualities.
ولكن حتى ولو كان ولد هذا الدجال فإن النبوءة لن تتحقق بغير ميلاد حمار يكون أيضا ضخم ويناسب سيده الدجال.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
That donkey will be so big that between his two earlobes there will be a difference of 105 feet or thereabout. 70 bar, which is about 105 feet.
وهذا الحمار سيكون من الضخامة بحيث أن المسافة بين أذنيه 70 ذراعا، مسافة تكون تقريبا 105 قدم.
And then this would be a freak of nature. It will be so different from ordinary donkeys that instead of eating fodder and grain, it would consume fire. It will eat fire and nothing but fire. And when it eats fire, the amazing story does not come to an end. It begins from there. It eats fire into his belly, and yet people travel in his belly. And he becomes a mode of transport for ordinary people. While the Dajjal is the master of this donkey, yet on the side of the donkey's belly there are openings. People will travel that donkey by entering through these side doors or windows, and before it begins its journey, it would announce that I'm about to leave for the next station. Come and enter. And if people do not make hurry, are not quick enough to enter, the doors on the side of the donkey will be shut and it will depart. And then it will stop at the next station and the same story will be repeated. And the speed at which this donkey would run on earth would be amazing. The distance which is ordinarily covered by man or any other beast in one day, one full day of 24 hours, will be covered by him in an hour or less. So it's a fantastic donkey which is to be born before Dajjal comes.
وهذا الحمار سيكون مختلف تماما عن بقية الحمير، حتى أنه لن يأكل الطعام العادي الذي تأكله الحيوانات الأخرى، ولكنه سيأكل النار، سيعيش ويتغذى بالنار. والغرابة في الموضوع أن الناس سوف يركبون ليس على ظهره ولكن أيضا في بطنه وفي
Not as in, only في بطن.
ولكن لن يركبون على ظهره ولكن سوف يركبون في بطنه.
في بطن.
وفي جانبه فتحات ليدخل منها الناس، وتوجد أبواب على هذه الفتحات حتى يدخل منها الركاب الذين يريدون أن يركبوا في بطن هذا الحمار. وأن هذا الحمار قبل أن يبدأ الرحلة بتاعته رحلته سوف يعلن عن قيام الرحلة إلى هذا المكان، وينادى على الناس لكي يأخذوا أماكنهم داخل بطن هذا الحمار. وإذا لم يدخلوا بسرعة سوف تغلق الأبواب ويبدأ الحمار في رحلته. ثم وسرعة هذا الحمار ستكون أيضا عجيبة، فالمسافة التي يقطعها الإنسان المسافر عادة في الظروف التي كان يعيش فيها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم، التي عادة كان يقطعها الإنسان في يوم، سوف يقطعها هذا الحمار في ساعة.
And even month is mentioned.
وحتى شهر، المسافة التي يقطعها الإنسان العادي في ذلك الوقت في شهر فهو سوف يقطعها في ساعة واحدة.
Now again, when the people enter, they will not be burned by the fire which has been eaten by the donkey. Somehow it will be compartmentalized. It will be kept closed and shut and fully insulated from the chamber in which people will sit. So that compartment of fire which donkey has eaten will not hurt, which will be so separated that the travelers will not feel the heat of that fire at all. The inside will be lighted. They will be provided with comfortable seats. Now this donkey is even stranger when he turns to the sea. He becomes a far greater thing than he was when he was in the land. He will not sink in the sea. He will become so huge that he will be able to carry mountains of food as aid to the third world nations by the jar. And that food supply aid will be sent on the back of this donkey, carried across the oceans by the Dajjal, but only to such nations who bow to him, his authority, not to all the poor who suffer from hunger. And those mountain loads will be carried by that donkey on the sea surfaces and it will not sink. And yet the story has not yet come to an end. The story has not yet come to an end. The donkey would be able also to fly, because Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that 1 foot of that donkey would be in the east and the next foot will be in the west. And it will fly above the cloud line. His jump across from east to west would be above the cloud lines. And people will travel within his belly when he takes such jumps. Now, have you not yet understood what the donkey is? Have you not been able to identify that donkey?
ولما يدخل الركاب في بطن الحمار لن يحرقوا بالنار التي يتناولها هذا الحمار كطعام، لأن هذه النار ستكون في مكان خاص بها، وأما الركاب سيدخلون ويجلسون في أماكن مضاءة بالأنوار ومريحة للمسافرين. وهذا الحمار سيكون أشد غرابة حينما يتجه إلى البحار، فإنه سوف يخوض غمار البحار ولكنه لن يغرق، بل إنه يحمل على ظهره جبالا من الغذاء للأمم التي تعاني من المجاعات، ولكن بشرط أن تخضع هذه الأمم لسلطان الدجال، فهو يحمل لها المساعدات الغذائية. ولا تنتهي القصة بعد، بل إن هذا الحمار العجيب يستطيع أيضا أن يطير في الهواء وترتفع رأسه فوق السحاب ويقفز من الشرق ويهبط في الغرب، ثم يقفز من الغرب ويهبط في الشرق، والناس المسافرون داخل بطنه. فهل فهمت أو أدركت ما هو هذا الحمار حتى الآن؟
لا، ما فهمت ما هذا الحمار حتى الآن. فهمت إنه حمار ولكن ما.
You didn't?
No, he says I don't understand which donkey is that.
ويعني حمار فهمت إنه
Allah
حمار.
bless you. All right, I'll point out to you, I'll help you understand. Obviously, this is not an ordinary animal. It is a machine which eats fire. And the fire-driven modes of travel are prophesied in this hadith. So when the age of the Dajjal comes, new modes of travel will be invented by the Dajjal and the forces at his service. And those will have the common feature of being driven by fire. So all fire-powered modes of travel are mentioned in this hadith. And the picture is so perfect and so complete that it is amazing for me to hear that you have not understood. So when this donkey is only metaphorical, it's a figure of speech. So also we believe that Dajjal is a figure of speech. It will not be an outsized, outgrown human or monster. He would be a symbol of a big people, a nation, which will be extremely powerful, a people who would conquer the whole world on the strength of these new modes of travel, which will give them advantage over all other people of the world. And the secret of the domination of the Dajjal lies in this, the power of this special donkey. It lies in the high speed which will be available to such dominant people who will conquer the whole world. Now study the history of the Western rise and domination and colonization of the rest of the world, and you have to admit that it is because of the superior modes of travel, which all had the common feature of being fire-driven, and the speed means victory. Speed means domination. High-speed rockets, high-speed aeroplanes, high-speed this and that. The higher the speed is, the more powerful that makes the people who own such means of transport. So Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had predicted with such precision the inventions of modern times that the like of this cannot be read in any scriptures anywhere in the world. So this greatest prophecy has already come to pass. And through understanding of the donkey, you will be led to the understanding of its master, the powers that own this donkey. All have come, but not literally, metaphorically. So also the Christ should be metaphorical, not the old real one. And this is exactly what we believe in.
من الواضح أن هذا الحمار ليس حمارا ماديا، وإنما هو
Hamaran Madian, all right, but not Hamaran, animal Hamar.
ليس حمارا حيوانيا
That's right.
وإنما هو يعني الآلة. والمقصود بهذا أن الدجال حين يأتي سيكون في وقت توجد فيه وسائل المواصلات السريعة. فالحمار إذن هو مجاز أو كناية عن وسائل المواصلات الحديثة، والدجال أيضا هو كناية عن الأقوام التي تتسلط على العالم بواسطة هذه الوسائل المواصلات. وإذا درسنا تاريخ النهضة الغربية لعلمنا أن هذه النهضة قد قامت بسبب اختراع وسائل المواصلات التي تتميز بالسرعة مثل الطائرات والصواريخ وغيرها. وقد حدثنا رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم عن كل هذه الأمور بكل دقة. وإذا فهمنا المقصود بالحمار لعرفنا من هو الدجال.
الآن فهمت.
جزاكم الله. Thank you.
شكرا.
جزاكم الله. Please. Tell them he says yes, I understand now.
Yes.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
लोग बड़े दूर दूर से आए हुए ना, इसको थोड़ा सा लिहाज करना पड़ेगा, ठीक है? फरमाइए. Yes, please.
My name is Nasir. My question is not too many-folded. I just ask a very simple question: that what is the concept of the prophethood in Ahmadiyya, and how?
It's the same concept which is in every religion, every true religion. The concept of prophethood does not differ in Ahmadiyya from any other understanding.
And how can?
If you want to find a difference,
Yeah.
first let me know your concept of prophethood. Then I'll tell you if there does exist a difference between that concept and our concept. First give me your concept.
Actually, I want to ask that how Ahmadiyya interpret this very obvious and clear declaration of the Quran,
Yes.
in which the God has declared His Prophet Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as Khatamun Nabiyyin.
That's
This
right.
is my question.
So it's better now. It's better shaped now. Huh? We agree with all the interpretation of the word Khatamiyat, the term Khatamiyat, with all the other Muslim scholars. And it's a false allegation that our interpretation differs. So first of all, correct your information about this. The mullahs, when they tell you that Ahmadiyya interpretation of the term Khatamiyat is different from the rest of the Muslims, they speak falsehood. They tell lies. Now I'll tell you their understanding. And then I'll verify the truth of their understanding as they understand, and then inquire from you what is the difference between their understanding and our understanding of Khatamiyat. They believe Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be the last prophet, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, after him a prophet will come, whose name will be Jesus, son of Mary. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. Will he be the prophet of God? Will he be a prophet of God or not?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
He will.
Okay. So we say yes, exactly. This is what we believe in. We believe that Messiah, who was to be a prophet of God, has come, and they say he has not come. So where is the difference of interpretation? Nothing. It's only a question of identity, not a question of different interpretation.
From some
All the mullahs of the world agree that Messiah, when he comes, will be a prophet of God. Right or wrong?
Right.
So we also believe that Messiah who was to come had to be a prophet of God. We say he has come, they say he has not come. Follow?
Yeah.
And as far as Imam Mahdi is concerned,
Yeah.
they all agree that after Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when the institution of prophethood has come to a final end, Imam Mahdi would still appear. But he would not be an ordinary Imam at all. He will be different from all the previous Mujaddideen in the sense that if somebody rejects that Imam, it will be tantamount to rejection of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And nobody on earth will be authorized, no Muslim will be permitted by God to reject that Imam who would be created by God himself. Right or wrong?
Right.
Right. So what is the definition of prophethood? Prophethood means it's an office which is created by God. A person who is appointed an Imam directly by Allah and who is declared to be divine representative. Don't call him a prophet as yet, but who is declared to be a divine representative specifically sent by God himself. And no Muslim would be permitted by God to reject him. Right? What is a prophet of God? A prophet of God is a person who is appointed by God himself and the believers are not permitted to reject him. Is that the right definition of a prophet or not?
Yeah, it's right.
So where is the difference? Our opinion between us and the mullahs. We also believe that Hazrat Imam Mahdi would be a prophet of God in Islam, in the sense that he will be appointed by God himself and Muslims will not be permitted to reject him. Can you find another definition of prophethood than this?
No, from some books I derive this that.
You understand the point?
Yeah.
So we are in perfect agreement with the mullahs. In the understanding of Khatamiyat. We believe that despite Khatamiyat, Messiah as prophet of God would certainly come. We believe that despite the Khatamiyat, the Imam Mahdi as a prophet of God in the sense that he would be directly appointed and to believe in him will become essential, compulsory for every Muslim. He would still come. The only difference is in the identity. We believe he has come and we believe in him. They say he has not come and they are waiting for a prophet yet to come. So as far as the basic interpretation of the Khatamiyat is concerned, there is not an iota of difference. Got it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Jazakumullah. Wa alaikum salam.
My name is Saeed Sarbe.
Yes, please, you're welcome. Are you a Somalian or a Ghanaian or what?
Ghanaian.
Ghanaian. MashaAllah. Please.
I have two questions.
Two questions. It's all right, thank you. I'm used to the two questions.
One is that
Please.
I know that Muslims are not allowed to eat pork. And they're not. And what's the use of God making pig if we're not allowed to eat pork?
Why Allah has made big that if we cannot? Allah ने जोर पैदा कर दिया.
Just a minute, please. Please calm down, please. Is there a small boy sitting by your side? Behind you? Yes, that's right. Can you eat him? Can you eat that boy who is sitting behind you? I'm asking you.
No.
No? Why has Allah created him then? Can you eat skunks?
No.
Can you eat snakes?
No.
Scorpions?
No.
Or Worms?
No.
No. Why has Allah created them? Can you eat eagles?
No.
So most of the things Allah has created, you can't eat them. Don't you realize that?
Yes.
Thank you.
My second question is,
Yes?
when we
He's
die,
an
we go.
intelligent boy, I must say. Eh? Mashallah. I immediately understood the answer from the trend of the way I addressed him. Yes?
I know that when we die, we go for judgment. If we be bad, we go to hell. If we do good, we go to heaven. But what happens to animals if they die?
आखिरी समय में सुना आखिरी सा क्या था आखिर में
What will happen when the animal dies?
That's a good question too, mashallah. No, nothing to laugh about. It's a good question. The animals are all created not for themselves, but for man. They are a support for man. And this support of man is not always direct. There's an ecosystem in the world where each animal plays his role or its role. And if you remove one animal from the ecosystem, the whole food chain will be disturbed. So it's a very interesting question you have raised. People, I don't know why they laugh at such wise questions. Right? You raised a very good question. Animals are not created as end products of life. They are created to support the end product of life. So all that matters is the end product, man. That is why man has been given choices. And your question also contains the answer to itself. When you said, when we do good deeds, we go to heaven. When we do bad deeds, we go to hell, right? Yes. How can animal do good deeds and bad deeds? Can you imagine a snake behaving like a gentleman? Can you imagine a lion suddenly taking pity on animals and started eating fodder and grasses to behave like a gentleman? So they do not have in their power to do good or bad at all. Whatever they do is through instincts. And because their conduct and behavior is instinctive, it does not require any reward or punishment for that matter. You understand?
Yes.
Jazakumullah, thank you. Mashallah, very, very intelligent boy, I must say.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
My name is Noman Rashidi and I'm from Toronto East.
You're from?
Toronto East.
Yes.
I personally want to thank you for clearing my name instead of Rushdie, that which they were calling me a few days.
I remember. You know, I saw the pitiable look on your face when I said Rushdie, and immediately understood that this is not the right name.
Thanks again.
He protested to the one who was registering names that I'm Rashidi, why are you calling me Rushdie? Don't write me Rushdie. And he said, no, I'm going to write it Rushdie. So when I read his name, I was entering, you know, I saw the look of horror on his face. I said, your name couldn't be Rushdie, is it? He said, no, I have been protesting, and yet I have been registered as Rushdie.
Thanks again.
What enmity, you know, prevailed between you and him?
Between
Had
me,
you angered that man somehow, offended him before you came to be registered as a mulaqati?
no, actually he offended me by writing that kind of book.
No, but before that you didn't know him?
I knew him.
And he knew you, yet he intentionally changed your name.
I don't know about that.
You make investigations about it. Okay, please.
I became Ahmadi about 4 years ago,
Right.
and it has been a pleasant road since then.
So he might have thought of your pre-Ahmadiyya age.
Could have been.
Yes, please.
Recently, I went to Pakistan, and I was actually bombed, literally, not in a physically sense, but in a word sense, that there were few questions raised to me. And one of the questions has already been answered by you in this majlis.
Good.
There are two other questions.
Yes.
One is the nikah of Muhammadi Begum with Hazur, and the other one is
You better pay another visit to Pakistan. Revive your memories of the past.
the other one was the Al-Yawma Akmaltu
Lakum dinakum.
Lakum Dinukum. And we believe in that, as I've been told through the Jamaat, that the greatest inam on mankind from God is Nabuwat. And when they say that Nabuwat has, the greatest inam has been completed
Right.
in that ayat, then there is no need for another one
Right.
after that. That was another one.
And don't you remember my suggestion to you when you wanted to ask a few questions during Mulaqat, that you should ask these questions before you became an Ahmadi, not after. You became an Ahmadi without inquiring into the nature of Ahmadiyyat, and when you were confronted with some questions by the non-Ahmadis, you had no answer to offer, which means that you became an Ahmadi while still you were raw, you were not convinced of the truth of Ahmadiyyat. And during the last 4 years, you have never attempted to enrich your knowledge of Ahmadiyyat and to understand it in depth.
Yes.
As such, when you returned to Pakistan, you practically returned as a non-Ahmadi.
Okay.
And you have returned here again in the same state. Were you waiting for my arrival to begin to ask me these questions?
I was actually waiting for Your Highness to give me these
Why
answers.
didn't you ask Mahdi Sahib these questions before? Why did you become Ahmadi at all? If your understanding of Inam and perfection is right, first of all, let me ask you a counter question.
Okay.
If your idea of perfection, of Inam and everything is right, why did Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself prophesy the advent of a Messiah who would also be a prophet? Why did he prophesy the advent of an Imam who would be Imam Mahdi? Where was the need?
This is Quran and Hadith. Okay, and
I'm also speaking of Quran and Hadith.
okay.
The point is, if Islam had come to a perfection, in the sense that nothing about its understanding could go wrong afterwards,
Right.
then first of all, there should not have been 72 sects in Islam.
Right.
Then the current state of the Muslim conduct and behavior and morality could not have become so rotten as so rotten that the non-Muslims laugh at them as the greatest liars on earth, the worst people, in the sense that they have neither an integrity and honesty in religion, nor in their economy, nor in their other pursuits of common life. Where usurpation of others' rights has become the order of the day. Where to tell lies is no surprise, but to tell a truth is a surprising thing. Where cruelty is become commonplace. If this is the meaning of perfection of religion as you understand, then there is no need for anyone to come. But why don't you understand in the first place that the recipient of these revelations about Khatamiyat and perfection was Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. He understood the meaning better. Yet knowing all this, it was he himself who prophesied, Sayati ala nas zamanun لا يبقى من الإسلام إلا اسمه ولا يبقى من القرآن إلا رسمه مساجدهم عامرة وهي خراب من الهدى علماؤهم شر من تحت أديم السماء من عندهم تخرج الفتنة وفيهم تعود. A time would come when Islam will be left only in name, when the Quran will be only for writing, when the mosques, despite being full, would be empty of guidance, when the ulama of these people would be the worst under the firmament of heaven. All fitna or trials or disorderliness would emanate from them and return to them ultimately. This is a well understood, well accepted hadith among the ulama. So where is the perfection? If the perfection means that once the lives of the people have been reformed by a perfect message, then they will never turn wrong again. If that is what had happened under the concept of perfection, then of course I would agree with you that no prophet, no divine representative would ever be needed. But when this is the state of affairs, in reality you notice this everywhere in the world of Islam, then how could you live without a divine messenger? The meaning of perfection only means the message is perfected, it is for men to accept it or to reject it. If they run away from the perfected message, and if they have lost real sound faith in God, then the revival of such people can only take place through divine reformers. This is the meaning of Messiah, this is the meaning of Mahdi. So if you do not agree with this concept, ask the other mullahs who are custodians of your beliefs. Why don't you turn to them? Why don't you ask them this question? When Muhammad Rasulullah is the last prophet, when faith is perfected in him, why is there need for a Messiah? Why is there need for a Mahdi? Why do you give these opiates? And why do you keep us in a dreamy world, in things which will never come to pass? If really an Imam Mahdi is to come, the question arises, why? Is Islam not perfected? If a Messiah is to appear as a prophet of God, the question would arise, has not the final prophet come in Islam? Why another Messiah? So this question should be in fact not addressed to us. It should be addressed to the previous people, the custodians of the other Muslims' faiths. Why I say custodians? Because the common Muslims do not know what their faith is. They have become the custodians. You turn to them and ask them this question, because the turn of Ahmadiyyat will come in the end. 72 sects were born before us. We are the only 73rd Jama'ah. So our turn will come after we have resolved this question in relation to the beliefs of the 72 previous sects. It's a simple matter of common sense. If people go wrong in religion, if their faith has become completely destroyed and corroded and eroded, then no man on earth can rehabilitate the health of their spirit, their faith. The health of faith can only be rehabilitated by divine messengers. The only difference between us and the other Muslims is that we believe that the divine Muslims will be born from among the followers of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And no divine reformer of another ummah will ever be granted the great opportunity of leading the ummah of Muhammad Rasulullah. we consider it as an insult to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is the only difference between us and the others. The concept of perfection remains the same. The concept of nubuwwah remains the same. Inam is the same. Yet all the Muslim ulama, the non-Ahmadi Muslim ulama, believe that the need for a prophet would certainly arise. It is the question of need which is central to the point. If there was no need left, then Khatamiyat would be complete. If the need yet arises, and we know it has arisen, then if you withhold the advent of a prophet, it will be a cruelty to the people. So they all agree with us on this issue. A need would arise, and when need would arise, it would be fulfilled by an older prophet who would not be a servant of Muhammad Rasulullah's ummah. This is their view. If we violate the seal of prophethood, they violate it 1,000 times more. Because we say, whoever prophet will be needed for the future need would be created from among the servants and slaves of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from Islam itself. There will be no need to borrow an earlier prophet from another ummah. And it is so illogical. The question of life and death should be left alone for a while. Use the word ma. The translation of ma made by the Quran itself is minan nabiyina. It doesn't say man nabiyina.
Right.
See?
Right.
So the mullahs deceive you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not enough though.
Jazakumullah.
They did not deceive me enough. I still believe Ahmadiyyat is the only.
I understand,
solution to
but
that.
you believe in Ahmadiyya despite the fact that you shouldn't have believed in it. With the knowledge you possess, you shouldn't have believed in Ahmadiyya. Thank you for that courtesy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, has the list expired of those with whom I have promised that I would permit them
Yes.
priority, give them priority?
Yes.
And you are a new questioner?
Yes.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, Huzoor.
So we'll still sit for another 10 minutes if Amir Saab allows us.
Okay.
There were 11 names and 4 have asked their questions.
Only 4 of the 11. So either my mathematics has gone wrong or you are not right. So many more questions than 4 have already been asked.
From that list.
No, but why were not they given preference? This is what I instructed.
It was announced, their names were announced that they should come here to ask their questions.
And they failed to report.
Yes.
So this is their fault, not ours. Okay. But if there is a special person whom you would like to still be given a chance, for instance, a non-Ahmadi from somewhere, I would still give him this opportunity because I heard you naming some Turk who wanted to ask. So that will be a special case anyway. Now please ask your question and then we will turn to another guest of ours who is from Turkey who wanted to ask a question yesterday, but unfortunately the time was over. And he came here, but again late, so out of special courtesy to him, I will give him an opportunity to ask his question after you have finished.
Assalamu alaikum, Huzoor.
Wa
My name is Tariq Rashiduddin from Markham Jamaat. My question is on the view of our Jamaat about Hinduism. How and on whom did it originated? And what about the truth of Hindu concepts in their original form as opposed to today?
Have you understood the question? Have you? Has anybody understood the question? Have you? Repeat it please,
Yes.
in different words.
Right. My question is how and on whom Hinduism religion originated, and
Okay. Simply what you mean is how Hinduism came into being.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
And how it was founded.
And how in its original form it's true, and as opposed to today, like
Okay.
it's not.
Now, do you want an answer from the point of view of Hindus as they believe,
No, from
or
our
from the
Jamaat.
point of view as what we believe?
From what we believe.
Okay. What we believe is that all over the world, prophets of God appeared. And when they came, they were opposed. And extreme antagonism was shown towards them, and all attempts were made to annihilate them and their message and their followers, all of them together, wipe them out of the face of the earth. This is a universal phenomenon, number one. Number two, despite the best efforts of the enemies, they failed to achieve this purpose. And the prophets of God, despite the fact they were single, alone, and weak, they somehow became dominant and emerged victorious over that powerful society of antagonists. And once their authority was accepted at last, then their position was continuously raised from their real position of humanity. Myths were added, and they were mythified from then on. So there are two phases of human psychological attitude towards divine authorities. First, they are rejected as less than human beings. Once accepted, their status is raised as if they were more than human beings. So man keeps his ego still alive. He says we bowed to him not because he was an ordinary man, we are superior men, but because he was a superhuman thing. When they do this, again they obstruct the passage of the next prophet to come. So a sort of khatamiyat is born with every prophet and seals the way for the future prophethood whenever God so decides to send a prophet in future. Now this khatamiyat is a universal concept. It is the same human distortion which creates gods out of men, gods out of messengers of Allah. So we believe the same phenomenon is witnessed in the history of Indian religions. They originally came as messengers of Allah. Their terminology was misunderstood. First of all, they were rejected, of course. Then they emerged victorious as God had promised them. Once they were accepted, gradually and slowly their status was raised from that of human beings to that of gods. So this is how Hinduism came to be born. Hazrat Krishna, for instance, he is known to be a human being a god in the form of human beings, in the shape of human beings by the Hindus. A man which has some supernatural powers. A man who has 4 hands instead of 2. A man who has wings. A man who tends the cow. And those who help him tend the cow, they are gopis. Women folk who are beautifully dressed, but who are also tenders of cows. So a tender of sheep, instead of a tender of a sheep, a tender of sheep, in India comes a tender of cows. So when you turn to the Israelites and refer to their prophets, you'll be surprised to see that they are shown as tenders of sheep. And because it was cows which were important in India, which were the alternative for sheep in Middle East, So here a prophet comes who is a tender of cows. His gopis are the same disciples or apostles who help him tend the cows. And they are shown in the form of females because they accept his influence. And that is exactly how Jesus Christ is mentioned in his second advent. That he would be awaited by chaste, untouched women. So it is the same story of religions all over the world, only it's a failure of the correct interpretation of religious jargon or religious terminology. So we believe that Hazrat Buddha, when he played his flute, he only indicated that as this flute in my hand is not singing by itself, it is incapable of producing any sound or any music. I breathe into it, and then what you hear is the result of my breath. So also I am in the hands of God. I am like a flute which does not sing by itself or create music by itself. Allah breathes into me, and then whatever I sing is the word of God. And this is the meaning of the Holy Quran when it says, when we breathe into Adam, then prostrate to him. So the breath of God is symbolized in that the image of Krishna playing his flute or pipe. And the gopis are his disciples who take care of the common folk of his people, of his time. And his wings are like the wings mentioned in the Holy Quran. I've already mentioned one such reference. I've also spoken of one verse of the Holy Quran in relation to Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Waqfiz lahum janah zilli. Lower your wings of kindness over them. So where was the wing of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu? Obviously, wing means a character or an attribute. So the prophets of Allah have double attributes, and that can be explained in detail with reference to the Quran. Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam had more attributes in the sense that from among his ordinary attributes came to be born higher attributes. So he was one of us, yet he had grown into something to which we do not have any access, because from within him was born a new spiritual life. And this is a phenomenon which is common to all prophets. Khalq-e akhir is the term of the Holy Quran. So whenever a man is born from within a man, he also has his own two hands. He has his own two eyes, but they are spiritual. So then these prophets, instead of having two hands, they have four hands. Instead of having two eyes, they have four eyes. Because the other two eyes and hands, etc., which are born from within them, are spiritual. So Krishna was no exception to that rule. But that is our explanation of how Hindu religion came to be born and distorted ultimately, unfortunately. Is that what you wanted to know?
Yes.
Jazakumullah.
Thank you.
وَخْفِضْ جَنَاحَكَ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Have you checked it? Somebody should check from the Quran, or some Hafiz should come to our aid. Once there is a controversial view, then it's better to play safe now. This is it. وَخْفِضْ جَنَاحَكَ لِمَنِ اتَّبَعَكَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. This is the verse. But the word janah is the word which was the issue And that remains the same, of course. The meaning is, as I explained in my Jummah sermon, that bend your wing of mercy over those of them whom you address who believe in you. So the word junah is just a symbolic word which should not be taken too literally. No? Still in doubt? Now you can also turn to the verse where every one of us is spoken of as having wings, because we have to lower our wings upon our parents. وَخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جُنَاحَ الذُّلِّ. This is the one verse about the parents. The one verse which we refer to regarding Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is وَخْفِضْ جَنَاحَكَ لِمَنِ اتَّبَعَكَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Lower your wing upon those who believe in you, who follow you from among the believers. This is a literal translation. And at another place, regarding okay, every man, every woman who is a believer is addressed by God in relation to their responsibility to their parents. So although the address is apparently to the male members, to the men, but everybody knows that here in every such case both men and women are addressed together. So let us translate this: وَخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جُنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ وَقُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. That when your parents, either both or one of the two, reach old age, don't say uff to them. وَخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جُنَاحَ الذُّلِّ. And lower upon them or for them your wing of kindness. So that means every human being is mentioned in the Holy Quran to have wings. So that is why I said when Krishna is spoken of as possessing wings, Hindus misunderstood the meaning of that and took that to be too little. Took that to be a literal expression. Junah and hands, etc., are always mentioned in religions metaphorically. So Allah is mentioned to have as having hands. We are mentioned to have to possess wings. So these are religious terminologies. When they are misunderstood, then unfortunately the original message of the religion is distorted and distorted out of shape ultimately. Okay? Where is he? This. Ask. You see, when we make a promise, we better fulfill that promise now. Announce his name if you have. Huh?
Brother Samuel is a Turkish brother.
Brothers what?
Samuel.
Tanuel.
Samuel.
Huh?
Samuel.
Samuel. Is there any gentleman here by the name of Samuel who is from Turkey? If not, then we can call it a day, because I had promised him, if he were here, I don't know whether he was here or not at all, I had promised that questioner that I would give him a chance regardless of the time having come to an end. So I have fulfilled my promise, and now we make a break for refreshing the wudu if anybody needs to refresh his wudu. Azan should be announced or called, and we'll return to the mosque in 10 minutes. Is you all right? Inshallah, okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.